Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Collective Intelligence Block Party number 22. Woo! We've now got over 500 hours of block parties under our belts and going for 1,000. Anyway, very excited to be joined by everyone today, and feel free to say hello and good morning if you'd like to. And other than that, Silas is going to be leading us this segment on food healers, and super excited. Silas, how you doing today?
Doing great, Jamin. Thank you. Thank you for this. And thank you all for being here. Today, we got the final binary for the APK for the K-Mama app. So I think all the bugs are fixed. And now it's just a matter of testing it out in Phoenix. So we are on. And the first set of boxes for the 400 families is going to go out on July 20th. So that's the provisional work that we are doing, getting a box of food out to them. And then we'll be, as we hand out the boxes, we'll be recruiting them for the K-Mama app. And so that's the idea. Tell them, if you really are food insecure, would you like to try doing this? So I'll be talking to people about the idea behind it, why are we doing it, setting the rationale for it, and see what inspires them. I don't know. This is again an experiment. This is a social experiment. We have to see what inspires them to say, yes, I'll use the app, and I'll download the app. Right? So that's the next set of work that needs to be done, now that we have the software. Yeah, and for the boxes, we have to collect, 400. Man, I didn't realize that peanut butter is so expensive. So 400 jars of peanut butter, 400 jars of jelly, and so we're looking at a bill of about $2,800 for the whole thing. And thanks, Jamin, to you and Melissa for the donation. Yeah, that's going to help us a lot. But yeah, we are going to Trader Joe's, asking them, if we buy 400 boxes of your cereals, would you give us a break? That's the sort of thing needs to happen. Yes, Brett.
I was wondering, for my own personal sake, but I'm sure it wouldn't hurt overall for anyone that might be watching, can you just do a quick recap about the app, what it is, and if it's available, and the boxes you're sending out? I mean, you don't have to do it for 20 minutes, but just like a 2 or 3 minute sort of, recap in case someone literally is just tuning in. I could use that myself, but there might be people that might even use something like that. So.
Okay, so in summary, the way it started was we see our system is collapsing. It's basically disintegrating in front of our eyes. People are losing their jobs, not just here, but around the world. India has lost 120 million jobs. US lost 40 million jobs. Some of it is coming back, but it's coming back in drips and dribbles. And they call people. There's a whole class of people now called the precariat. People who are living precariously at the edge, and they know that the current system is not working for them, right? So the World Food Program then announced that they're estimating by the end of this year, the number of food insecure people is going to double from 800 million to 1.6 billion worldwide. And in the US, it's going to increase by 50% to about 60 million people in the US. So in the Phoenix area, we know it's going to be, in Arizona, it is estimated to be around 20% of the people are going to be food insecure by the end of this year. And it's already beginning because people have lost their jobs. They are running out of unemployment soon, and so they're beginning to feel the pinch. So we found that there are about 400 Navajo families in the Tempe area alone who are food insecure. Okay, and so there's a Navajo school that started collecting for them. So that's how, we got involved in drips and dribbles, right? So someone said, "Oh, I'm hungry. My family's hungry," and I went to the food bank to get some food, and they gave me maggots in the food. So I don't want to do this anymore. I have 3 kids, and I don't want to go out. I keep risking my kids and everybody with the coronavirus out there. So can you help us? So I started out by saying, okay, let me just feed one family and see what happens, right? So that's how even the idea for the app started. So I started cooking for that family and taking it and dropping it off to them. And then I calculated how much was it costing me, because I was making only whole food plant-based meals. And I did different types of meals, pasta dishes, soups, all kinds of meals. And they loved it too, okay? Because I was making enough meals for 10 people, putting it in a box and taking it to them, and bringing back the box that I gave them the previous day, refilling it, and so on, right? So it was a process that I went through, and in which I started calculating, okay, how much was it costing me to do this? If I don't take into account my time, and if I assume I have volunteers doing this. And it worked out to $1 per meal, okay? On average. It was $1 a meal. So then I said, what if we can get places of worship to do this? Right? Initially started out with restaurants, vegan restaurants are also hurting. So we're trying to figure out how we can get restaurants to help out. So the idea is, if there are 1.6 billion people who are food insecure, there are 6.2 billion people who are food secure. So can we not help each other and start building a new system on the foundation of healthy, immune boosting whole plant foods? Okay, that was the idea. Can we get enough people to just buy a meal from a temple, or donate to a temple for a meal? And when they donate, they're automatically donating for 2. So we tell the temple, calculate the actual cost of making the meal and double it. So that and then say that's the recommended donation. Okay. So we said, okay, let's write an app that would allow people who are hungry to just say, I want a meal, and the temple will come and donate to them. I'll drop it off for them. Because there are lots of volunteers we can have in temples to do this sort of work, right? Because it becomes a service to the community as opposed to a business that you're running. So the idea behind the app is to connect those who are food secure with those who are food insecure, and use temples and churches and mosques and synagogues and other community centers as the community kitchens from which food is being served to the community. It's not a business, it's a service. And appeal to the temple's the temple's devotees, to the church goers to help the community. Okay? And this now can be used anywhere. So we did an app. The app has basically an admin for every city that the main admin will assign and say, okay, you are the admin for this city. And each city, that admin has the responsibility to go find temples and recruit churches and synagogues to participate in this. And once they start putting up their their meal of the day on the app, then people start seeing it. Users will start seeing it. They'll see, oh, this is the meal that's available, and this is the cost of the meal, or the donation, suggested donation for the meal. So that's how we are planning. So that's what the app is doing, right? So the idea behind Food Healers is to create a new food system that's based on healthy, immune-boosting foods, plant foods, and then creating a service mechanism by which you provide that food to people. Okay, that's the summary. Yeah, go ahead, Brett.
Can I ask a couple questions? Yeah, okay. First of all, thank you. Awesome work, Salish. Amazing. At some point, it would obviously be helpful for people that want to make bigger donations. Are people able to make cash donations on the app as well?
It's a Stripe account. I don't know, whatever Stripe allows, you know.
Because you also at some point could get, you know, a nonprofit or a fiscal sponsor to fiscal sponsor the program. So people that want to, some people are stopped by not getting tax deductions, but it would be really easy to have a fiscal sponsor,
Mhm.
you know, sponsor your app. So if someone wants to give 10,000 or 1,000 and the only thing stopping them is getting a tax deduction, then you can cover that. And then the fiscal sponsor would give the tax deduction, blah, blah, blah. And you don't even have to start your own nonprofit for that. Like the paperwork, you could actually just get someone to be a fiscal sponsor. Um, that was one. I'm always thinking like more visionary, long term. Forgive me, because I keep
Mm.
moving around the planet and I don't have a home community, so to say. So it's easier for me to think of those kind of solutions compared to like going out and then actually feeding someone, like which is something I need to do differently. But I just keep moving. Um, and then the other thing that strikes me is this sort of systemic nature. You know, I've never been able to get over the fact of when I read about that guy, Will, in Wisconsin, who grew like, you know, 1,000,000 pounds of food on 1 acre or 3 acres, some very small amount of land. He grew like 1,000,000 pounds of food and he was on YouTube and he began teaching courses. He's like Will the Grow Guy or something like that. And, you know, ever since then, I'm like, Jesus, how hard is it for all of us to raise some funds to build some aquaponics and hydroponics and get a piece of land? And like in Arizona, whatever, there's got to be places where like if we just can find
Yeah.
some like wealthy church members, and I don't mean it like because they only have money. I just mean like let's also get to the systemic thing where we could grow millions of pounds of food in a place like Arizona, like decentralized. You probably only need like 3 or 4 sites to freaking feed all of Arizona or some ridiculous thing. Um, and I don't want to say that to take away from what you're doing on the ground local, because if people don't actually feed people and do the cooking, then none of this matters. So I don't want to be saying what I'm saying at the expense of that. I'm just saying my mind always goes to this idea that like aquaponics and all this stuff and all these new technologies we have means we don't need a lot of land to grow a lot of organic food. And
Mm.
people would probably be willing to like do some of the work just like they're willing to cook, because the new technologies don't actually require toiling like in the old farming sense where people are toiling hours and hours and 6 o'clock in the morning. So we've got that covered. It's
Right.
more like how can we mobilize a subset of people to either do like one first effort, like we get 1 acre somewhere in Arizona for your project, like we build the stinking farm or the aquaponics and we prove the model, you know, and we just grow whatever amount of food and then it gets distributed according to the app. Anyway, that's what comes up for me. Like I want to see that happen, because that's even more systemic for me, because then we're actually growing the food in all these
Right.
different locations, and that's how we also become, even we're not even really needing money at a certain point from more donors, which is a really important point for like some philanthropists or church members. Like if we can get this up and running, we at some point we won't be always asking, you know, for money to do this, because it's just like a booster. Sometimes you need a little bit of a, in the way we're working now, obviously in transition times when you can buy equipment and all this stuff. I mean, of course it can be donated and we can create a, you know, a platform to have equipment donated. It's not like we have to have money. I'm just saying I'm just excited about getting to that next stage where we're actually like, people have already proven it. You can grow a massive amounts of healthy food with very little land and everything based on technology. So anyway, I'm just excited about that. And like that's one of my goals, is to somehow figure out how to catalyze more and more of that, because that to me is the actual like solution in every country, just decentralized food supply based
Yeah.
on aquaponics and all this. I mean, stuff I don't even know about. I just know that everyone, my friends and my solutionary friends, people like yourself, all know that it feels so close. You know, that's all. It just feels so close. Like everything is there, these solutions. And I don't know what we shouldn't all have to work so hard, even you and us, like building apps and drumming up business and getting charity all the time. Like, just want to get to that next step where it becomes a little bit more like graceful and effortless in feeding the world, because it's so ridiculously possible, you know, like with all the technologies. Anyway, thanks for listening. A little bit of a rant there, but um,
No.
it gets me excited really when I hear what you're doing, because it's the first step, and it's the most important one, because like you're actually doing it and people are hungry, and technology doesn't matter to them when they're hungry. So
Yeah, yeah. Thank you so much. Uh, the donations aspect of it, we are trying to get away from being the middleman in many of the donations. So it goes directly to the temple or the church, and so they
right,
will have their own 501(c)(3)s. Usually,
right.
all of them do. Yeah,
That's what I thought.
so,
Yeah.
yeah. So that is covered. But the local food, I hear you. You know, I really think that once we have once people know that there are temples doing this and churches doing this in their neighborhood, people will say, okay, I know how to do this. I know how to grow, and I can donate food to you. I think this is going to happen. We already have, like, we have a composter who comes and picks up our compost, and he takes compost from everybody in Phoenix. I mean, all his customers. We pay him like $5 a week. It's nothing. And
Yeah.
and then he goes and creates vegetables out of it and fruits out of it. And then he comes and gives us boxes if he wants, right? So we are thinking of just buying a whole bunch from him for the temple. If he becomes like a regular supplier, right? So there are local farms already that are working on this, that we can tap into, even in the Phoenix area. So
And that's where you are, Phoenix area?
yeah, we are in the Phoenix area.
I'm gonna go check with my friend who's got property somewhere in Arizona. I don't know. It's a pretty big state. I want to find out where he is, because they were gonna grow food and hemp and all that. So he might even be someone you can connect with to do a small pilot, like get a bunch of people from the churches in his area to go to his land, cultivate some food, and then just do the program like by growing the food. So
Awesome.
I'm gonna check in with him and just see if he happens to be anywhere near Phoenix. Not that he has to be, but it would help. It would be nice.
Awesome.
But I'll
Thank
check
you.
in and see what he's up to. Yeah.
Thank you, Jamin.
Thank you, Silas, and thank you, Brett. Really good stuff. What I would like to add is, speaking directly to what you're saying, Brett, is, and I've kind of long predicted that the first big sort of killer app of collective superintelligence, what we're pioneering here, is going to be food, just because it's like the number one kind of burning issue on so many people's minds. And so just imagine that in this taxonomy that we've long been envisioning, within the taxonomy, there's some big root that's just like food, and then that branches into subroots, or and so the big ones are going to be food production, growing food, logistics of fresh crops, which is a whole special thing in and of itself, just getting the crops from the field or the hydroponics tower or wherever to, in this case, the churches, the mosques, etc. Then there's food preparation, then there's prepared food distribution, a whole different distribution problem, and so on, right? And just break it down. And then as people from different communities around the world say, well, here's how we do it. Well, here's how we do it. Well, here's how we do it, right? And this cross-pollination of knowledge, and which, why not, can lead to cross-pollination of resources, right? And the recruitment of new people, like, hey, join the conversation. We're figuring it out. Hunger, it's time for a conversation. Food, it's time for a conversation, right? Anyway, so just, and then that gets us to, and I love that you taught me this expression, thoughtware before software, right? Because if we do the thinking right, before we sit down to code, we'll have a lot better code coming out of it. And I'm using code and software as really just a metaphor for, the new system generally, right? So just, the vision is that we get to a place where we have just this collective intelligence just covering every single community, right? Even if there's not a participant in that community, it might be a village of 200 people with no internet, but there is someone who's at least looking after that community and speaking for them. Maybe they visit that community once a month, whatever, right? But ultimately the whole world is covered, right? And there's like a heat map, wherever there's hunger, it's like bright red. And, where everything is fine, it's green, and okay, they're fine for the moment. Let's focus on where it's red, right? And then you get the thoughtware and the thinking and the talking, the collective intelligence of the whole planet, right? working systematically. So Brett, what you're talking about growing, millions of pounds of food via hydroponics, I would posit that's mostly produce. Grains, the state-of-the-art technology for grain production is still open field today, right? It's just the nature of the beast. But produce certainly. So anyway, all this needs to be optimized. And just to give you one little tidbit of it, Brett, so one of the most nutritious foods, pound for pound, dollar for dollar, is lentils. And so Silas explored to see, what would it cost to buy, a whole truckload of lentils. And the cost was down to like pennies per pound, right? Whereas if you buy retail, you're talking dollars per pound. It's like, what? And so there are tremendous efficiency gains just even in the old paradigm of just, cheaper by the dozen. And so it's a combination of how do we grow fresh produce locally, and then how do we bulk buy grain, lentils, like other legumes, et cetera, and, holistically optimize the whole thing. Anyway, I think I've made my points. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, that great idea. I mean, that's in fact our son Akil. He is in the truck logistics business, so he moves things from ports to to anywhere in the country. He can get so he has a relationship with all these truckers, and and he said, I want to start doing things that are for the good of the whole, as opposed to what I'm doing now, because he's moving, whatever the corporations are trying to send ship everywhere. And I told him, hey, Jamin is thinking of bringing lentils to Seattle, and then we can ship it. Yeah. So that's, I think, the next step. Also, I like, for the collective intelligence idea, I mean, having collective intelligence throughout the world, and everyone, even people who are not part of it, are being represented by someone in the conversation. I think we need to start including animals, birds, insects. So we need to have people representing animals, representing birds, representing insects and rocks and mountains. I mean, you need to represent. You need to make everything sacred. Okay, that's the idea. Okay, the new system is about making us servants of the earth, as opposed to takers from the earth. Okay, we are serving the earth. We are doing a job. We have a role to play as a species, right? So that's the new paradigm. At least that's the story we are trying to tell in Climate Healers. And so I was suggesting that people should be wearing a mask of a wild animal, or a mask of a domestic animal, maybe a cow, or a mask of an insect, put a bee mask on, and then go to meetings, go to this conversation, and say, hey, I'm the bee, and here, this is what you guys are doing with your pesticides. Can you just cut that out? Right? Speak from the bee's perspective about what is going on. I mean, of course, we need to have people who are educated in it, and talk about it so that they can talk intelligently about it. But I think we can recruit people to do that, and I think that would really open up this conversation, because currently the conversation is only about human beings. What are we going to do? And I mean, we are the most privileged species on the planet. Okay, if you haven't even figured out how to take care of ourselves, of course, we're not going to take care of others. But we're not going to take care of ourselves unless we take care of others too. So it's one of those catch-22 situations that we are in, right? So, that's the idea that I had, and I suggested that to Ben, and during the meeting that we had on Tuesday, to Ben and John, that for the World Unity Week and any extension of the World Unity Week, they should be inviting people who wear animal masks and and insect masks to show up, and tree masks. Put on the mask of a tree or something and say, I'm a tree. I'm going to talk to you about why are you chopping me down, right? You already chopped half of us down. Shouldn't you not bring us back? So literally bring the nature's conversation into the picture. It's not just our it's a conversation for all life. So, yeah, foodhealers.org is not yet up. I'm working on that. I'm so, I'm so swamped now in that foodhealers.org. I unfortunately did it on GoDaddy. So now I have to do a GoDaddy version of my website, crazy.
I've got a thanks, Silas. I've got a couple oohs, as we say. Brett might be too young for this, but I think Vince Tucker knows what I'm saying when I say ooh, Horshack ooh. Anyway, thank you. Okay, so a couple of oohs. First of all, with in terms of like, oh, I'm kind of swamped and all that. Listen, as we get this collective superintelligence growing, right? There's going to be like just this whole school of fish just following Silas. And when Silas says, we need a new website for this, like, 20 fish are just going to swarm around it and just start, working on it, so to speak. So that's the first ooh. The second one, I absolutely love what you're saying. I had actually had this idea also about having animals represented, ecosystems represented, anything, whether big or small or whatever, superset, subset. And I remember there was this one time, and there was the case of some monkey, it was a chimpanzee who had been like somebody's, it'd been an experiment at Columbia University, and it lived at some family's home outside New York. And anyway, there was all this chimpanzee had this very interesting trajectory. And then there was a point where there was like some legal contention or something like that. What are we going to do with the chimpanzee? Does the chimpanzee have rights, whatever? And some lawyer in New York City said, hey, let's put the chimp on the stand, on the witness stand. And you can imagine what the media would be like. Well, imagine a big bumblebee on the stand, right? I mean, this is America. Last time I checked, if I want to show up to court wearing a bumblebee suit, I'll do it, boy. Right. And so, let's get the bumblebee up on the stand. Let's get the, what's it been like for you? Well, we just, our population drops in half every 10 years and we just can't take it anymore. Right. We're almost, so many of our brother and sister species are extinct. And so we're just like the last ones hanging on, pleading to humans, save your own lives by saving the pollen, stuff like that. And we can do really creative stuff in the collective superintelligence. It doesn't have to be all, buttoned down, 1950s style boardroom conversation with Robert's Rules of Order. We can get really creative. Anyway, I've made my points. Thank you very much. Going on mute.
Yeah, that's where I need Melissa's help. Melissa and her cohort of artists should come down and do this. And Danny, yeah, I'm down with animal reps. Come on, Danny, you have a lot of work to do with us now.
I'm ready.
Yeah, it'll be so awesome, right? I mean, have these animals Zoom bomb everywhere, right? And say, listen, what are you guys talking about? How come you haven't talked about us yet? World Unity Week without animals? What the hell is that, right? Yeah, I mean, I even put a note out on World Unity Week because they announced that a white bison cub was born during World Unity Week. And white bison cubs are considered to be very rare. They're 1 in 10 million chance of being born. And so their birth is an indication of hope in indigenous communities. It's a sign of hope. But when I look deeper, it's a sign of hope for spiritual renewal. What does that mean? For spiritual resurgence, what does that mean? It means that they're expecting the mainstream culture to start treating all life as sacred. Right? That's what they treat all life as, sacred, right? They're expecting the mainstream culture to treat all life as sacred. Not just the white rhino, the white bison. Even the brown bison is sacred. And so not only the white sheep, but the black sheep is also sacred. So we shouldn't be saying white bison is great, but black sheep is awful. That's, the colorism that's in there in our minds. So I sent a note out to the WhatsApp group on World Unity Week, but I didn't get any reply on that. But basically saying, Let's start taking all life as sacred. That's what we should be doing. That's what they're expecting us to do. Yeah, Danny, I'm looking forward to your animal reps.
Thank you. My gears are turning right now. Smoke coming out my ears.
Awesome. From where you were half an hour ago. This is great progress.
Yeah, having a focus and a direction on something for me personally and Danny's one of the big things that's helped me get out of these little ruts that I get stuck in. So yeah, that's encouraging. Glad to hear your wheels are spinning. That's going to get your mind on something more positive. Good for you. This is exciting.
Thanks, guys. Thank you, guys.
Hey, and I just keep thinking, I've been thinking about this a few different times, Silas, when you're talking about this app and getting communities of faith involved. I'm here in Kansas City. The Unity Church is based here, and Unity Village is here in the Kansas City area. And the Fillmores, the founders of the Unity Church, you guys may or may not know this, were, I guess at the time they called themselves vegetarian or vegan or something along those lines. Like they promoted that as a tenet of their faith, and that's gotten lost over the years. So I'm not sure. I just keep thinking. I've got a really good friend of mine who goes to the Unity Church who is vegan, and she does activism and a lot of more health-based stuff around here. And I just keep thinking about what would be an incredible way to get the Unity Church back involved with their roots, feeding people, plant-based meals. If they would get involved in that, I might see if my friend Gigi would get involved in that. Then at the same time, helping the community get back to their roots and tying it back to them. Hey, you realize what your founders believed in, and kind of get that narrative going. And then of course we got Victoria in our corner. She's the Unity Church as well, Victoria Moran. And so I maybe see her get involved in that too. I see a big opportunity for like a huge, like faith-based group of people. And Victoria's got her podcast and everything. I see an opportunity here. So that's why I keep jumping in on these meetings. I'm trying to pay attention to what you're doing and the tests and all that kind of stuff. And I guess once you get something kind of developed and you're ready to like get other communities involved in it, I want to see what I can do here in Kansas City for sure.
Awesome. Thank you, Vince. We will. So what do you need from me to get the ball rolling? What do you want from me?
Well, I think a lot of it is just kind of understanding the logistics of it, like how it works. And from what it sounds like, that you're still kind of working that out too, at least what you're planning right now. And I know Brett's got like some bigger visions as well, but at least on the short term, like, I guess I'm trying to understand how we specifically would roll it out. And so I don't know, is it best for me to figure that out now, or is it best for me to wait till after you guys have tested out a little bit out there in Arizona, and then we can say, hey, this is what works or this is what doesn't work, and then kind of go from there? Because I'm guessing I need a team of people. Like the reason I'm thinking about Gigi, because she's good with food. I make food that I like, but I don't know if everyone else would like what I cook. But and then just kind of the system, like how does it work logistically? What worked, what didn't work, and then how do you think that might apply here? And then I guess it could be even a matter of, if it comes down to it, if I start getting some specific people together that I want to like help me kind of implement this, if we had a Zoom, would you be able to come into a Zoom as well and kind of explain the vision if it came down to it, in case there was questions that I couldn't answer as well? Those are some things that might help if that answers it.
Yeah, absolutely. Basically what we were thinking, the way we were thinking of rolling it out was to get 3 pilots going. One in Arizona, one in New York City, and one in the Midwest. Now the Midwest, Victoria was going to try and connect us with Joe Henry in Iowa. so that the slaughterhouse workers can get fed, because they want to go on strike. They don't want to do what they're doing. So, but we don't know if, we haven't found someone who can do the admin there, and but we have someone who can do the admin in New York City, and we know someone. I mean, obviously, I'm going to be doing it in the Phoenix area. So.
Oh, so you don't have an admin for the what in Iowa? Is that what you said?
Yeah, in the Midwest. I mean, if you want to start, if you want to propose Kansas City as the one for the third pilot, we'll consider it, because basically what we are trying to do is look at, say, the Navajo community, and then look at the African American community in New York City, and then maybe the Latino community in the Midwest, the ones who are doing the slaughterhouse worker, and then understand what makes it stick, what part of the app is sticky for them, what is not sticky, what do we need to change, just to understand how to roll it out on a larger basis that would make it successful, right? Because basically we want this to catch fire, that people really, that people then start getting food that's good for them, but but they need to want it, right? Mm-hmm. But if you roll it out in a way that we don't understand them, then we're not doing them a good service at all, right? So first we need to ask them. So we're coming up with questionnaires that we can ask them questions and get a better idea of what part of it should we be tweaking to make it better for them. Mm-hmm. Okay. So with different communities, right? A variety of communities.
So you guys need help finding an admin in Iowa, or and if you can't find an admin, then you can't do the Iowa thing. Then you have to find another city. Is that kind of
right? Yeah, that's where it will go. Yeah.
Okay.
I know that. I think Victoria Moran is going to connect us with Joe Henry. I don't know where we are with that, because Nivi has been handling that aspect of it.
Okay, and Joe Henry is who specifically?
Joe Henry is with the LULAC of Iowa. LULAC is the Latin American United. So I don't know.
Okay.
It's like a. I think it's a worldwide organization of Latin American workers. Who. Okay. It's their union, and so they want to boycott meat. So he wants to boycott meat because he's sick and tired of his union members getting COVID-19.
Okay. So the admin of the app should be somebody. Like, do you have any requirement? Like, should that be somebody who's also plant-based, or somebody who's involved in climate healers, or
someone who's plant-based, who understands, who's good at going and talking to temples and churches, recruiting them, getting them to join, and then walking them through their role of it. So basically, their role will be on foodhealers.org. So they'll be signing up there. They'll be adding their Stripe account there, and then they will be getting daily list of people who are ordering from them that they need to serve, right? So, and they'll have addresses, and they'll have how many meals each person needs. So they need to go deliver.
Okay.
And then their donations are going to be administered on that back end. So it's like a database, right? There's a database in the back end which has an admin, the main admin that goes and recruits other city admins, and then these regional admins that can then go recruit temples and churches.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
And so the app users are going to just say, I want a meal, right? And for today, and then so they have to do that before 12 o'clock. I don't know exactly. I mean, I have to look at what time they have set. Some 12 o'clock or something like that, and then the food will be delivered by 1 o'clock, something like that. That's the idea.
Okay. All right. So, so without an admin, they can't do it. So, I would want them to do it if Joe Henry's interested in this, but I wouldn't want to do the pilot in Kansas City and leave him kind of without a resource. But I don't know what to do to help them find an admin out there. I don't know. I guess I'll talk to Victoria maybe when I see her at the academy next.
Okay.
See where she's went on that.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I'm hanging on to that. I might be. Okay.
So
I got
basically, we are looking for a third community of mostly Latin American workers, who are the other demographic that needs to be serviced. That see, we are targeting people who are at the bottom of the pyramid, and we want them to want this app.
right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get it.
We want them to say, yeah, I don't want to be, I want good food for my family.
Mhm.
See, even if they're paying for it, it would be really cheap, right? Because it's basically a service-based organization that's doing this.
I got one of my coworkers at Educated Choices program. There's one in Des Moines, and I don't know if she would be interested in this, or if she would know some people in the area that might be interested in that, like other vegans or something like that. So I might reach out to her as well and just kind of let her know what we're doing. And because I have literally one contact in Des Moines, and so I'll start with her as well.
Sure. Thank you.
Okay, sure thing. Thank you.
Go ahead, Brett.
I have to jump off in a few minutes, unfortunately. So I just want to throw a couple ideas at you, Salish. It's probably not for tomorrow because you're still trying to get those 3 pilot programs, but it just struck me about the interfaith. When you mentioned before temples, synagogues, mosques, obviously we were talking interfaith here, but after listening to Vince, it really struck me like, yeah, this is a good way for people to get together and help people from the interfaith perspective. So as we go ahead, like I have a sister in Teaneck, New Jersey, who's a teacher in Brooklyn. So she's got access to kids and like programs that might be interested in like somehow contributing or being like the high school kid version of helping this and somehow. And she also does a lot of interfaith. We're Jewish by background. I mean, like my family. So she married a Jewish guy, and they've got a lot in Teaneck, New Jersey is a big Jewish population, but they've been doing some interfaith kind of protesting with like, anti-racism, Black Lives Matter, Muslim, Jewish, all of it. So and I don't talk to my sister a lot because she's not generally into all the stuff I'm into. So I thought it quite could be a fun, interesting thing. Like that interfaith piece is very, very interesting. And then I met another guy a couple months ago who's like really plugged into the whole Christian, Catholic sort of Midwest, Middle America, like big groups and churches. So I was just thinking like at some point, if you have like a sort of press release or like 2-page kind of thing, like here's the big vision, like feed the world. And again, using my own words, you would choose your own. Like in the future, we're going to build different ways of, we're all going to come together to build farms and aquaponics. But right now, what we're doing is focusing on this application. And now the first thing we're focusing on is these 3 pilots, just so people have the actual like big vision and then understanding what's happening now that's most important. So I could kind of pass that around to a few key people. And then when you said to Vince, like, what would you need from me? I always feel like I need like the sort of visionary person to be the first contact for some of those people to sort of sell the initial inspiration. Like you wouldn't be holding their hand the whole time, but you might need to come in and be like, I'm the guy, I love this. This is my passion. Here's the big vision. This is what's happening. And I think sometimes people like yourself, they need to hear from that person. So I would only be introducing you to people I think are like trim tabs, to bigger things, not like calling you up and expecting you to talk to all these people. But in the future, near future, maybe I'll have just a few people I might say, why don't you just get on a call with Salish and get to know each other for an hour, just in case there's some reason to know each other more or get to know each other. And I do know a guy who was on the, I think he's still on the staff at Maharishi University, which is in Iowa, I believe. They're super progressive. They already grow food and do sustainable stuff. I think he's in like the economics, but sustainability. And if you're really looking to do something in Iowa like this, I'm going to send you like his LinkedIn profile or something. And if you feel like he's someone that would be worth talking to, then I'll just make an introduction, because he's super plugged into sustainability and he's in Iowa at Maharishi University. So they would be an awesome, awesome partner for you, I think, from what I understand about their work, and all those connections and everything.
Awesome. Yeah, I think, yeah. But Fairfield, Iowa is in the south, right? I mean, I think it is south of Iowa City.
Geography is my embarrassing subject. I could barely locate Iowa on the U.S. map right now in my own imagination. So South Iowa, I have no idea.
Okay, thank you. No, but that's a great, I think I will work on a 2-pager, just an overview of the vision for food healers, and then share it with everyone.
Yeah, because I think we'll really be able to activate once you get something up and running here, which of course we all want to help with. But once some stake can get in the ground, there's a lot of people. I think the interfaith thing is really important. I think that's going to be a really, really interesting sell to people, to bring people together to help feed each other. Like Jamin, like you would always say, from a marketing standpoint, and the Brooklyn thing. And my sister teaches at Brooklyn Tech. I mean, my sister teaches like at Brooklyn Tech or something. So even going back to that whole thing, we've got like another possible, she's an activist, but she's just not like me into all the spiritual like co-creation. But I'd love to like kind of have a relationship with her on something like this that's more mainstream for her to understand, that she can plug into, actually, because she's quite an activist in her own way. So it's quite interesting. All right, I have to run. I have another call. I guess I'll kind of hop on back later. It's great to see everyone. Thanks for your listening, and thanks for your time.
And very importantly, we're going to see Brett at 11 a.m. Pacific for a 2-hour segment for A World Beyond Money, which dovetails with this beautifully. Thank you, Brett. Look forward to seeing you soon. Thanks.
Take care, everybody. Bye.
Awesome. Thanks.
Bye.
Well, I've got a kind of a crazy idea, if no one else is waiting to speak. And welcome, Sally. So the idea. Here's the idea. So just think about it. Think about it like from a big picture logistics framework, right? How do we holistically optimize this? Considering how much of food, how much of the cost and the burden and everything else is packaging, right? And tragically, our least expensive solutions are disposable or recyclable at best. Okay. So just consider this. I want everyone to just like take a virtual bong hit or something and just like get into this space. Okay. So now just imagine Silas is like, well, I do that every 5 minutes anyway. So, that's easy. No, I'm just kidding. So imagine, sorry for the joking around. It's part of the humor therapy. Right, Daddy? Okay. So imagine there's like this truck going around, and you know how like there are these ice cream trucks that go around. I'm sure they're still everywhere these days, but they probably started in the 50s or 60s. It's just some really tedious music, da, 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 but everybody knows it's the ice cream truck. Imagine there is the Operation Stone Soup truck that's just going around and playing some really cool music, and we could even do some funky stuff like having Jamin dancing half naked on the roof or something like that. But but we make it a thing with music and all that. But then here's the idea. Check this out. This is where I really need you to be like, whoa. Okay, is imagine that at the truck there, you pull up at some intersection, some neighborhood, whatever, and the music is playing. People come out with their own pots, their own containers. Every household has containers. I don't care how poor. Everyone's got containers, among other reasons, because they're constantly being given away, right? And when people, it's time to get a new set of pots or whatever. And so they're always giving, so you can get it at flea markets or, you know what I'm saying? I mean, or free even. So, but everyone's got containers. So they show up with their container, you fill it up, and you move on. Zero packaging, right? So imagine that the Stone Soup, I would ship it cold, because just like everyone's got containers, everyone's got some means of heating, right? And in the worst case, they cut off the electricity, there's no gas, you go next door to your neighbors. Can I please heat up this pot of soup? No problem, right? Or you know what, here, let me give you a burner, or here's an extension cord, you know, so you can fire up your burner. But I mean, the missing ingredient is the food, right? It's not the packaging, it's not the, you know, it's not the heat, it's the food. So with the stone soup, my dad was really into stews, and so he and I would make stew together, and so I've done a lot of that, and I'm always blown away at how delicious the stew is. You know, whole grain rice, beans, potatoes, something tomatoey, right? Could be crushed tomatoes, whatever, it doesn't matter. Spices and all this. I mean, it's so good. And it has all your protein, all your this, all your calcium. I mean, we just come up with the optimum stew. And then it's just like, here's all your food needs in one big thing. If I'm food insecure, you know what? A big ass thing of stew gets me like 95% of the way there. I mean, we got to the point, the stews my dad and I would make were so good. We would just sit there. It was just delicious. It was just like, wow. So, my goodness, we could do this so efficiently. Imagine truckloads of lentils, truckloads of whole grain rice, truckloads of potatoes, truckloads of tomatoes, right? And, you know, you got, you know, dudes like me and James there. Welcome, James from Ireland. Been meaning to say hello for like the last hour, but anyway, you got dudes like, you know, me and James, they're just going chop, 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 and it's just like this big assembly line, and trucks pull up, and, you know, and we just, I mean, zero waste, you know, other than the fuel, of course, but come on, that's, you know, we got to transport it somehow. I mean, holy guacamole. This is just like and then that way it's just like we put out the fire. We say, listen, stone soup for all. Stone salad, we'll get there. Stone dessert, we're working on that too. Stone coffee, we're working on that too. But you know what? In the meantime, we're going to fill everyone's stomachs with nutritious plant-based food that's delicious, delivered right to your home. Just listen for the music.
That's a great vision, Jamin. I mean, I think it'll be awesome if some church takes up something like that and starts doing that, you know, or some temple. I mean, Hare Krishna, they do that, right? That's what So was saying too. At least in the UK, they used to do that. They still do that. Here, I think they were doing that in Seattle, Hare Krishnas. They would come and give you rice and dal. Yeah. In fact, I think it was, yeah, it is, as you said, just, I mean, the soup that I make for Kimaya is just like what you said. Whatever vegetables I have, I chop it up and put it in there. and of course, it has to have some beans and some pasta or some, you know, that's it, some lentils and some rice or something like that. That's it.
And then it's like, James, I know you got your hand up, but then it becomes, it's like full spectrum nutrition, full spectrum. You know how like legumes, check, 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 whole grain rice, check, check, check. And, you know, and then they start combining all the amino acids. I mean, we're going to nail it. And then, and we're also going to have like the nutrition software. There've been nutrition software since probably before I was born. So it's like, hey, Silas, a whole truckload of eggplants just showed up. Oh, no problem. You know, it's like, what do we have? And then the software, because there's certain stuff that you always have on hand, like, you know, giant vats of just brown rice, you know, whole grain rice, giant vats of lentils, you know, so you've always got that. But then you optimize for, okay, all this produce just came in, and, you know, right. You know, red squash, whatever. What? Oh, well, put it into the software. Anyway, linear programming, Silas, I'm sure you're familiar with that, but we can do some super cool stuff with technology. But here's the cool thing, and I think I've got a good song for it. So I'm going to play this song. It's time for a music break anyway. See, too much talking, too much thinking. We get too in our headspace. So James, why don't you share while I get the music going? No, this song is so cool. Imagine this food truck going, okay? Imagine there's this food truck going. James is my brother, so I can say, James, it's cool. It's cool. James will wait for a sec. I just got to play this song. Here it goes. You're going to love it. And you've all heard it before. That's the cool thing. Listen to that. And if you get hurt because there's not enough food, we can put that smile back on your face. 'Cause it's all right and it's coming on. We got to get right back to where we started from. Food is good. It'll make you strong. We got to get right. It'll make us strong. I mean, that's it. We put that song on top of the truck with a half-naked Jamin dancing on top. And I'm telling you, because here's the thing, this is marketing. This is how we blast our way into the mind. And everyone's just going to see this food truck. It's like, what? And it's going to be a party because there's going to be cruising along at 5 miles per hour. And there's just going to be like dancing squads with creative, colorful masks and costumes. And it's just like, come on, get some of the stew. Who could say no? No one can say no. Zero waste, whole food in one single item. Forget about these jars of peanut butter where half the cost is in the jar.
Yeah, I know.
The other 90% of the cost is in the logistics and the markups and everything else. Dump it all into one giant vat and just dole it out. That's it. That's it. That's putting out the fire. And so we start with that. We make that our staple. It becomes a thing. And like we said, you know, hey, the stone salad and the stone dessert are coming, but we're starting with the basics. Anyway, I've been talking for like 2 hours now. James has had his hand up for the same amount of time, followed by So. And Silas, you probably have comments. So, okay, go for it, James. Thanks for your patience.
Yeah, cheers, Jim. No, it was just, I'm just making a suggestion based on what you were saying about the packaging and obviously, yeah, who wants to be used in, you know, single-use packaging or anything else, that's a no-go. But just going on the holistic side of the whole scheme of it, I was saying, like, you know, the way how, like, communities that will be getting helped out and everything, it's always nice to give the community a way of contributing back, if you get what I mean. So they got a sense of independence as well about the whole system going on and everything else. So I'm sure that there are communities out there as well, those in particular now, a lot of indigenous communities, because they're so skilled with crafts and everything else. But like we just said, for the likes now, if you had the bulk stuff coming in and you want to bring it in the back of an articulated lorry or whatever, the dry goods, and we say vegetables, whatever, potatoes, whatever we say, or rice. I'm sure with your contacts or with anyone with contacts with the hemp products, you know, like hemp heavy duty bags, that reusable bags with straps, or even reed or rush baskets for a basket full of potatoes or whatever, or vegetables. They can be given out as a once-off, and then to anyone that doesn't have a container or whatever, they can be supplied as a once-off, and then they can continue to reuse those containers. But in a sense, if they want, they can be, you know, they can be reimbursed for in a small way for the production of them, or they can decide to donate them as a way of contributing to the whole scheme of the thing as well themselves. But it's all I'm saying is it gives the person or the communities that are being helped out a way of contributing back and a sense of independence. It's also a way of using you know, natural products that can be reused rather than one-off disposables. I understand where you're coming about the bulk and just letting them put it into their own containers. but it is a nice way of showing that original, natural, crafted, containers and implements can be brought back again to the fore, and instead of this disposable nonsense that we have, and that's destroying and polluting. It's also getting that message across. It's just a suggestion, there's plenty of hemp companies out there making things like that. I'm sure they'd have no problem donating 10,000 hemp bags here, 10,000 hemp bags there, you know what I mean? It's all for a good cause. So it's just another way of making it kind of holistic and non-pollutant and everything else good to the environment, you know what I'm saying? I'll leave it at that. Thanks.
So are you waiting to speak?
No, 'cause I think what I was going to say was really silly.
Alrighty, we're still having some audio issues coming from you, so so hopefully we can get that sorted. Were you waiting to speak, Danny?
No, I'm just listening. Thank you.
Sure. Alrighty, Silas, lots of good ideas on the table. I can see the
Yeah.
gears turning.
Yeah. I know.
But I mean, listen, from a marketing standpoint, one truck can get the attention of local news with the right songs, the right music. One truck, right?
Mhm.
And what a story. And it's just like, and then and we could even, Silas, you could even get like a big, green vegan cape or something like that. And you're just like, you're the superhero. Wherever there's hunger in Arizona, we are going there today and we're delivering. If you're hungry, call this number, 1-800-GOT-FOOD, right? And
You're muted.
oh, sorry. And I was saying, don't discount the power of the music. I mean, that song, right? Love is good. Love can be strong. We've got to get right back to where we started from. Where did we start from? Stone soup, community, people feeding each other. And we'll say, look, this is so basic, so simple. It's so, in hindsight, it's so obvious that we had to do this. Huh?
Each little slot could have its own little theme tune, like the food healers theme tune, and then the vegan, all the different groups. So Divine Feminine could have what is that one by Gloria? What's her name? I'll think of it.
Sure. Good. Welcome, Brother Phil. We're having a super awesome conversation. Good to see you. How are you? Hey. We're on the topic of food healers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Stop by and say hello.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Great to see you. Hey, Brother Phil, where are you located? I know I asked you before, but
In White Rock, British Columbia.
Oh, how far?
Just north of Seattle, right across the border into Canada, right on the border.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Well, I'm on Whidbey Island.
Right.
Just to the south. So.
Yeah, with Brother John Raymer.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he and I are both here on Whidbey Island.
Yeah. I went down to his wedding and been down there a few times, so it's a nice, beautiful place.
Awesome. Good to know we're neighbors.
Yes. Please continue. I'm just going to stop in for a little bit and say hello. And
yeah,
I saw what was going on, so I wanted to just come by and give respect and
awesome.
continue. Please continue. I'm listening in.
Thank you, Brother Phil. Well, if you don't mind, Silas, I'll recap for Brother Phil real quick, but only after Danny makes her comment. Go for it, Danny.
Well, I just wanted to say greetings, Brother Phil. I've seen you on TV, and now it's nice to meet you.
You're on
Pleasure
mute.
to meet you. Honored to meet you. Pleasure. Honored to be here.
Beautiful. Well, Silas, if it's cool with you, I'd like to share with Brother Phil kind of this idea. Well, there's so many cool ideas we're hatching up, but just imagine this, Brother Phil. Imagine that we have large industrial kitchens, which are everywhere in every major city. And we have a program where between cash donations, food donations, farms that basically say, hey, you know, my market has collapsed, my supply chain has collapsed, just come and get the potatoes kind of thing, right? But we channel all this food to the central place where, depending on what's available and what we have in abundance and whatnot, we dial in the ingredients to the soup of the day or the stew of the day. Think of stew, like a really hearty stew, 100% plant-based. Imagine you got your whole grain brown rice, you got your beans, you got your potatoes, you got your pasta, you got your tomatoes. Look, just with those like 5 ingredients alone, you got all your protein, right? And a whole bunch of your vitamins. We keep dialing it in. I mean, it could literally be, if you eat nothing but this stew, you'll actually be fine, right? You know, you may be craving some kind of chocolate dessert, you may be craving whatever, but with this you'll be fine, and it's delicious, right? And so now imagine that we have that on these big bulk delivery trucks where it's literally, I mean, I kind of hate to say it like this, but imagine there's just like literally a giant sausage shaped tank in the back, you know, like a fluid delivery truck or something with like a spigot. And so you show up in some neighborhood, people come with their own containers and you dose them out however much food they need. And listen, the bigger concept here, this becomes, listen to this, food on tap. Remember when water used to be like an issue and our ancestors had to get up at like 4 a.m. and walk 10 miles just to get water and carry it back on their head? And now hundreds of years later, you just turn this little knob and water comes out. This gets us close to the point of food on tap. Fine, it's not in your kitchen sink. It's not like a food tap there, but the truck's right outside. Bring your pot and we'll pour it right in. So it is food on tap, literally, right? And so imagine we say, listen, we've solved the food problem. Like, we make some big audacious claim. We've solved the food problem. Food on tap. How much you want? It's free. You know, that kind of thing. Anyway, I'm just kind of blurting out. But then imagine, Brother Phil, the first truck that we do, whether it's in Vancouver, BC, Seattle, Washington, or Mesa, Arizona, we start with one truck and a really great song, some really great music to go with it, and dancing. It'll be like a caravan, and the word starts to get out. We've solved hunger, and now it's just a matter of expanding it. Everyone's going to fall in love with it. People are going to want to start Operation Stone Soup operations in their own cities and towns, and it'll just spread like crazy. And then I started playing my favorite song for this application, right? Ooh, and it's all right, and it's coming along. We got to get right back to where we started from. Love is good. Love can be strong. We got to get right back to where we started from. You know, and to put appropriate lyrics. I'll sing it. I love singing in public. And let's do this. You know, because that brings the marketing to every neighborhood with the music and all that. It's like the ice cream truck, but the food truck. Huh? Right? It's the stone soup truck. Huh? What's that? Everyone will be talking about it. We've solved the food problem, right? And like I said, Silas could go around with a big green cape. My idea, not his. And so he's just like Mr. Plant-based food for everyone, right? Wherever there's hunger in this city, we will come and we will deliver food. And it's just absolute, right? You've heard of Absolute vodka. This is absolute food. Absolute food. No exceptions, ever again. That's it. No exceptions, ... ever again. Absolute food. Anyway, as you can tell, I'm absolutely excited about all this. And I'm going to absolutely go on mute so we can absolutely hear some other absolute opinions.
Are we meant to stick on the food subject? Are we meant to just stick with food here?
Yeah, so for the next 40 minutes until the top of the hour, we have carved out for food healers. It doesn't mean it's prohibited to bring up another subject, but ideally it would be somehow related to food. And then at 9 o'clock, we've got the Divine Feminine, 9 o'clock Pacific time in 40 minutes. That goes for 2 hours. Then we've got A World Beyond Money with Brett. That goes for 2 hours. Anyway, got a great schedule today. Check it out on the homepage of Radish. On the homepage of radish.org, you can click on the Block Party banner, and there's the whole schedule there.
You were talking about Stu, Damon. I went through this kind of weird, well, weird by other people's standards, but it wasn't weird at all, really. But I was paring down my life, years ago it was, getting rid of stuff, getting rid of everything extraneous. I just wanted this elegant way of living that was almost like Victorian. And one of the things I did was I had little children, but I had the same food every day, and that was stew. And it was great. And it was like, I never ever get tired of the stew. The other thing we had was porridge and stew. I don't know, do you eat porridge in America? Yeah.
I had some for breakfast this morning. Well, we call it oatmeal here, if that's what you're talking about. It's oats.
Porridge. Yeah, it's just cooked oatmeal. But my kids were young, so they didn't mind. They weren't bothered about it. But it was just very nutritious. And years ago, people had that. That's all they had. They had stew every day. In the past, that was the normal. And also, you don't need all these pans. You want to save on fuel. We should be using as little fuel as possible. The Chinese, the reason they do the stir fry with all the little bits, they chop it up small because they had a shortage of gas. That's how they had their style of cooking. It was adapted to their lack of gas supply.
Lack of what supply? Did you say gas?
Fuel. And if you think about it, we have to think along those lines. I mean, there are some people going raw. A lot of things you can't really eat raw. And if people have got old people with tooth problems, they can't eat raw much. Or they'd have a very limited diet. But we have to start thinking about eating that is using as little fuel as possible and ways to. This planet is dying, and it's dying fast. We're going down, Jamin, as you always say. We're going down, and we're going down fast. So we need to really think about those things as well, don't we?
Yeah, we need to come up with something really, really fast. And that's why I like this combined sort of marketing, logistics, nutrition, everything, right? All in one. We need an all-in-one. We need a singular solution right now.
The cooperative movement. I don't know whether you have a similar one in America. I don't think so. But anyway, it was initiated here by Robert Owen, and people shopped at the co-op and had their divvy. It all started out because corrupt people were putting chalk in the flour, to make more money. And basically, people getting together cooperatively to buy set things for their weekly food. And so you ended up over the years with a kind of set co-op shopping list, like by the time it was 60s or 70s, it was the Battenberg cake, and probably named after some dodgy royal. But it was everyone had this kind of same shopping list, and I think that's quite interesting if we could devise. I think it came up here before, this basic nutrition shopping list. We're thinking about how to cook it, how much fuel is required, really doing it like a whole planet understanding.
Did I lose everybody?
No, we're here. We're here. We're just kind of deep in thought, I think.
It was food for thought, pardon the pun.
Yeah. Food for thought. Exactly. Yeah. Now we need to get the food truck going. Operation Stone Soup, one item on the menu, simple, food for all. And we make it really clear. This is the starting point. Okay. We're not suggesting this should be the only meal from now until eternity. But so I love what you just said, that you could eat the stew over and over and over. Dad and I would do the same thing. We would make this big pot of stew, right? We'd heat up what we need for the evening and the rest is in the fridge. And like over time, it actually tastes better, because the flavors permeate the rice and the potatoes. And it's just like, whoa, I didn't know. It's just like, this is the answer. One item on the menu. We're looking for a singular solution. One item on the menu, one food truck, one green cape with a giant white V worn by Silas, one song, right? Love is strong, right? Get right back to where we started from. Get back to the basics. That's it. It's a singular solution. That's it. And we just need to do it in one city, because once we do it there, it becomes a story. Once it's a story, everybody wants it. And everyone will say, we're doing that in Kansas City. I am sick and tired of hearing about all these hungry families and hungry kids. Enough. Let's get the damn food truck. Bubba, you still got those container trucks? Yeah. Okay. And call the church over there. They still got their big kitchen? Yeah. Okay. Boom. Let's do it. And then pop. One swing of the bat.
You could requisition the oil tankers and have them full of shit.
All right. So now you're going too far, because, but definitely, kind of like tank trucks, zero waste. And that way, that one tank, you keep it at the optimal cold temperature, not freezing, because solid ice doesn't flow that well. But, so it's liquid, but cold. And that way it can, we just got to design it. This isn't that hard. It's really not that hard. Refrigerated trucks have been around since the 1920s or something. I'm exaggerating, but it's like, we just have to put the right pieces together. One truck, one item, Stone Soup, one song, one cape. That's it. Simple. And then that way it's just repetitive. And we stay on our message. Everyone needs to eat whole food, plant-based, immune boosting, full spectrum, complete nutrition, complete protein, fiber, vitamins, vitamin B, vitamin D, you name the vitamin, it's all there, right? And it just becomes like this superfood for free, delivered on tap right in front of your house. Just show up with a pot, a container, anything, a big bowl, whatever, right? Respect the social distancing guidelines, 10 feet between people. So if there's 40 people there, just everybody stay back. We'll get you one at a time. There's plenty of stew for everyone, right? Sir, I've got 8 kids. That's why I got this big pot. No problem, ma'am. We're here to give you the food. What are we afraid of? Someone's going to steal it and go repackage it and sell it? It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I would bet so little of that's going to be wasted, because we come around every day. It's not like, no, you need to give me enough for the whole month. No, just give me enough for the day. And then tomorrow it'll be a different flavor of soup, depending on what's hot and fresh and abundant that day. It's so simple. So simple.
I think you should do that in Seattle.
Awesome. That'd be a great project for me and John to partner on.
Exactly.
Oh my goodness. Food, friends, and fun. Food, friends, and fun.
Yeah.
McDonald's had the right slogan, but the wrong menu. We've got the right slogan with the right menu. I'll talk with John about it today. We'll do it in Seattle, and I'll do the dancing and the music.
Yeah.
This is it. We're going to eradicate hunger. And you know what? Because there's gobs of homeless in Seattle. You've probably seen the pictures. I mean, there's homeless everywhere now. But we'll be going by tent after tent. Hey, we got food. Oh, I don't have a container. No problem, brother. We got a whole bunch of donated containers here, right?
Mm-hmm.
How many containers are going into landfill all the time, right?
Right.
And then just, wash it off and bring it back tomorrow, and we'll refill you tomorrow. Food for everyone.
Now, that would be a great project to do with John, because he anyway wanted to get involved with food healers, right? He was inspired by it.
It'll be a universal basic stew. UBS. UBS. And anyone who opposes us, we just say UBS. If you're opposed to feeding everyone, UBS. President Trump, UBS.
It's a little close to IBS, you know.
How about UBUS? Universal Basic Unity Stew. UBUS.
UBUS.
No, but you be us.
You be us. Yeah, be one of us. You be us. Yeah. No, we're gonna have some fun with this.
You know, you could feed the protests. So that would be a good starting point. You've got some willing stomachs, and then you've linked up the racism and the food. You just because we've got to link all the bits, as Silas elegantly put it. So that would be one of the little links, wouldn't it?
Absolutely.
This is so exciting. One swing of the bat. See, it's the law of the singularity, which is actually one of the 22 immutable laws of marketing, which you hear me mention every week. One of them is literally called the law of the singularity. And it goes like this. In any situation, there is a singular solution, one singular solution that will just blast you through in any situation, right? I'm not sure I 100% believe it because there might be 3 or 4, but anyway, it sounds nice. And if you'll indulge me, I'm going to engage in a little bit more kind of neuro-linguistic psychological programming and just play a little bit of music, because this is part of the brainwashing is the music. You get the idea, right? Do you see how just contagious it is, right? I mean, how can you feel bad? How can you possibly feel bad? Hearing that music, talking about Operation Stone Soup, delivering it, seeing the smiles on the faces of everyone. We can do this in India, in Bangalore. Bangalore has streets and homes. It's the same. It's universal. There's no city in the planet where we can't do this, right? Oh, what about way up north where there's nothing but snow and you can't drive? Okay, break out the snowmobiles, the industrial snowmobile with the big thing on the back, right? Going on mute.
I really like the idea of the universal basics too, because I was saying universal basic nutrition, but that sounds too sort of kind of formal. But it puts the fun into it with the stew. You know, suddenly it's not all, you know, all political. It's fun.
I mean, what are people going to do with the universal basic income anyway? They're going to get a car, drive to a store, buy a bunch of single-use packaged plastic, whatever, go home and make some stew. Why not just bring them the stew and save a few steps and save about 90% of the cost? Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Food on tap. Yeah. Food on tap. It's literally, I mean, we'll make it beautiful. I mean, we're going to do it right. Why? Because this is going to be the singular thing that'll break through.
Yeah, I like Peter's UBS, Universal Basic Unities too.
U-bus. Get on the U-bus. Get on the U-bus. Get on the U-bus.
Why not just Unity Stew? Us.
Unity Stew. Hey, that's simple.
Unity Stew. Unity Stew. Yeah, because that way we take out the universal basic. Because if you put universal basic in there, I'll feel like if I'm receiving some of it, I must be poor, and I don't want to look poor, so I'd rather go hungry than look poor, right? But Unity Stew, it's just like, hey, let's all break bread together. Stew. Let's break stew together, right? Universal Stew. I love it. Now, Danny, let me just ask you, how does it feel to be in this conversation? How do you feel right now, if you don't mind my asking?
I'm a little less tragic.
Hey.
But my mind chatter, like my mind goes into negativity, and I just keep trying to clear that. So it's a struggle, man. I don't get it why I didn't, you know, why I seem to have regressed in life. But anyway, you guys it's just great to be around you and cheer up with all these fine ideas. So thank you for that. It's awesome.
Heck yeah, Danny.
No comments on your dancing, my friend. You look like you're prepared for liftoff at any moment.
I am prepared to lift off.
Hey, were you aiming for the word stew or the word soup? I've been listening, but I wasn't certain which of those, or maybe both of them.
Yeah, I say both because stone soup obviously has soup in it. But if you think soup, you think kind of watery. Stew is just like, I don't know about your stew stylish, but it's like, you know, yeah, you can stir it. So technically it's a liquid, you know, but it's really way more solid than liquid. You know, I don't know. I mean, that's how we like to, but you know, hey, everyone's style is different. We'll find the right, and listen, in different countries, even different regions of a given country, in the South, they like it spicy. Okay, fine. Put in some more cayenne pepper, right? I don't care.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, as we speak, I'm packing bags with cauliflower and lettuce for this food program that we got going here in my town, delivering food. So I just got involved the last couple of weeks with this program. It's been awesome. So there's our cauliflower soup, cauliflower stew about to happen here in Watsonville, California. And then Jamin, speaking of songs, if we go with Unity Stew, which I really like, there's a beautiful Merle Haggard song, Rainbow Stew, that's really quite wonderful and would tie into this. You should punch it up and play it since you're into the brainwashing through music.
I love Merle Haggard. I think he's brilliant.
It's Unity Stew and the Santa Stew. Underneath the sky, the blue. We'll all be drinking some free bubble up. eating that unity stew. One, we find out how's it go? It's good. It talks about solar power and stuff. You get the country folk involved.
I'm telling you, it'll be knee slapping, hoe dancing Saturday night, unity time all across the world. And we'll all be eating the same thing. And when we're all finally eating together and hanging out together, Peter, I know you hate it when I eat on camera, but in this case, it's like we got to make an exception for like a shared meal. You know, we're eating and hanging with each other, and there's all these different rooms and all that. It's like mealtime on Collective Superintelligence. Everybody eats. Everybody eats.
I'm sure there's somebody in the group too, a couple of musicians hanging around would love nothing more than to make the theme song for Unity Stew.
Well,
Yeah.
you're talking to one of them. I mean, I'm a self-proclaimed musician, but a musician nonetheless.
And I'm definitely a lyric changing songwriter. So yes.
That's right. He's constantly changing the lyrics. But anyway, we just try to keep up with him. Oh my goodness. So exciting. I'm going to text John right now. I'll be right back.
Hey, go slow, Jamin.
That's a good point. Although, here's the thing. John's already way into food healers. I was just going to invite him to hey, we're having a super cool conversation. Your name's come up a few times. Jump in if you can. It's just real simple.
All right, just keep that in mind. Breathe.
All right, just sent John a text, and because it was Silas's idea that see, Peter, I don't know if you know this, but John's like super well networked, like in Seattle and just generally in this neck of the woods, and food is just like the number one local thing, right? So, we've already been talking about how do we get something going in Seattle anyway. So I think he'll dig it. Anyway, we'll see.
I guess I just want to remind you to breathe, and that new ideas are wonderful, and new ideas presented through a fire hose are sometimes much harder to receive than new ideas presented a little more gently. That's all I want to say.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Thank you, Peter. No, really, really good wisdom. Thank you, and thank you for the work that you're doing there, delivering food. Thank you.
Yeah. You're welcome. Well, we live in the salad bowl. I live in the salad bowl of the world in the Salinas Pajaro Valley here in Central California. So we got the produce here.
Yes. Wow.
We just need
Peter,
to deliver.
May I ask how you're delivering that? Who cooks it? What is the process?
Yeah, there's no cooking involved. We've gotten donations from local groups, produce groups in particular, but also like the grocery outlet has been really good with us to donate non-perishable stuff. And then we have a group of volunteer delivery folks who pull in, and they get their little list of 10 or 50 houses to go deliver to, and they take the bag. We have a bag of non-perishables and a bag of produce for each of, this week was 1,200. I don't think we're going to get there, but we'll get to most of 1,000 this week, but they've been as high as 2,000 homes in the last 3 months since a friend of mine launched this program. It's called Project Elder Care. It's aimed to feeding the elderly who obviously have a harder time getting out of the house these days.
I just got an inspiration, you guys, just like at the highest level, a way to think about this is, you see, with the food logistics that we have now, there's all these like little roadblocks here and there. Some are kind of invisible. Like, okay, we got all the food to this church, but how are we going to deliver it? Okay, what are we going to package in? How are we going to refrigerate it? And for each combination of food, for each type of food, it's kind of a different you know, problem. And it's just now, so imagine from this kind of stop and go accumulation, expense, waste, et cetera, et cetera. Now imagine that we literally, it just becomes like a tributary, like a river. Everything is just flowing. And when it gets to the kitchen, it's just like we're cranking out tons of the stuff. Tons. Food by the ton, right? And this gets to something was talking about a few weeks ago, where it's like, you know, before you came up with that singular solution, there were all these kind of crappy little half solutions. Peter, I'm going to mute you, bro, because we're getting some noise. And then, you know, so like she used the example of in London, where people used to literally just poop in a pot and throw it out the window, right? And, you know, when somebody talked about the idea of just having like just a universal sewer that just flows, think sewage, it flows. We went from throwing poop out the window, one bucket at a time, right? One hapless shithead at a time, when it, you know, to it just flowing. Similar thing with water. We used to spend half of our lives, you know, carting around water in these things that used to crush the tops of our heads. Now you just turn a tap and it flows, right?
You can think of it, it can come into being, as Descartes said, you know, like you can think it and then it can be there. Once you thought it, named it, it can start to form itself.
Silas, could you make out what So was saying? If so, could you maybe interpret?
Can you hear me better now?
Yes, better now. Thank you. Please do that. So keep doing that.
Okay. So basically, once you can think of it, I mean, 1 minute somebody was getting getting the pot on their stuff on their head, and the next minute, everybody was on board with a sewer system idea, which would have been what? Everybody would, you know. So if we can think it, we can think all this new stuff, because we're heading into a new future. We're going to have new systems. So once we've named them, once we've all named them together, it can happen then. Like Descartes, you know, I think therefore I am. I think therefore it's going to happen. My version of it.
Food on tap. I mean, it's like, what? You hear that, and obviously, what do you think? You think of a third faucet in your sink that you twist it and like goop comes out. It's kind of, you know, but at least it's shock therapy to the brain to think food on tap. It's like, what? You know, it shocks you into imagining it. And then it's actually the tap out of a truck. Well, it's still a tap. A tap is a tap, right? But the concept, it creates a context of abundance, especially with the Cape, right? We're here, wherever anyone's hungry, we're going today. We're going neighborhood by neighborhood. And see, the cool thing is people will only start to try it little by little, right? Not everyone's going to come out on day one with pots and everything like that, right? But little by little.
Our food systems are so ridiculously complicated, aren't they? With packaging, individuals all going off to stores, the amount of fuel that's being spent in order to do that. You know what I mean? It's a good way to think that one meal delivered. Yeah, it's a good one, Jamin.
And you know, who better than to help us come up with the ingredients and the recipe than Amira? Welcome, Amira. Welcome back. How you doing? Not to put you on the spot, I'm just happy to see you. And Amira actually is an amazing vegan chef. She just happens to cook amazing vegan food, and she's very passionate about it. So Amira and Reza, welcome. Reza, if I'm saying your name right. We're just to give a quick recap, we're talking about this incredible idea of producing a universal basic stew. Think like whole grain rice, beans, pasta, potatoes, tomatoes, spices, chopped up celery, chopped up carrots. You get where this is going, right? And we produce the stuff by the ton, by the thousands of tons when we get to that stage. And we load it up into bulk delivery food trucks. that deliver it as a fluid, as a liquid, not packaged into containers, but one giant, you know, refrigerated, cool, safe, ultra sterile. That way you've got one thing to sterilize, one thing per truck, one big, you know, container. And you drive from neighborhood to neighborhood, and people come out with their own containers, no more single-use waste, no more nothing like that. Come out with your own pot, bowl, whatever. We twist the tap, it comes out, fill it up, next. Food on tap. Food on tap, which will get everyone's imaginations going. And it creates, but the most important mental shift, I think, is we transform from a mentality of scarcity to a mentality of abundance with one twist of the tap. Food on tap. They'll interview us, the media will go crazy. It's the feel-good story that this corona-ridden world is waiting for and, dare I say, hungry for. It's the solution the world is hungry for. Now, K-Mama can now basically say, hey, look, we've got different modalities, right? We're doing the traditional while we're also, you know, developing this. So, you know, pick which model you want to support. You know, most of us are going for the freaking universal basic stew. I mean, it's just like, it's, I would say not obvious, but inevitable. Now that we've put it on the table, it's now inevitable. It wasn't obvious, but now it's inevitable.
Yeah, I like Danny's unity stew. Sorry, go ahead, James.
Yeah, it's us. It's just simply called us. And what better expression of us than we're making sure everyone has enough to eat? I mean, this practice of letting 3-year-old girls starve to death, no. Right? And we can literally say that on camera. No more. And if you agree with us, you know, go to foodhealers.org or go to us.org or whatever. Hey, sweetheart. How you doing?
6 minutes to the divine feminine.
6 minutes to the divine feminine. Yes, James, go for it.
Yeah, sorry. I just want to say, first of all, anyway, I must have missed something earlier because I wasn't aware that you were on about having it already cooked and delivered, prepared like that. So I was on about, you know, separate delivering the produce for the stew. I was on about like basically delivering the fresh produce and let the person make it themselves. I wasn't sure you were on about, I didn't realize you were on about having it prepared, cooked, and then delivered like that. So I understand the implements there, the pots and pans that way, didn't it? Grand. But yeah, just on the note, during the winter especially anyway, I'd make a large pot of stew myself. And on the first day I'd have a stew, and as you said, the second day it's even nicer. But on the third day, then I'd spice it up and I'd have it with rice. I'd literally turn it into a curry. You know, by spicing up the night on the second night, and the curry helps to preserve it while it's sitting in the fridge overnight. And, you know, it's the vegetables and everything else, so there's no food poisoning involved or anything. You have your lentils in there for your protein, and you spice it up. So I'm just saying, like, it could be a 3-day, like, it could be delivered on one day, and it can be a 3-day meal. But there could be a lorry come around on the second day with just bags of rice in it, and give them the rice and the spice, you know what I mean? Just to have the extra. So that's a you know, a couple of days to sort it out there with 1 or 2 deliveries, or even just the 1 delivery, have the bag of rice coming behind the lorry with the stew in it. But yeah, great idea. All right, like, fantastic.
Beautiful.
And
all right, well, it's
you can expand it to all sorts of meals, as I said. Like, it's not just stews. You have curries, you have, you know, chilies, everything. Sorry, go on, cut.
Beautiful, beautiful. And speaking of beautiful, here's my sister, Jackie. Woo! How you doing, Jackie? Great to see you. And it's in 4 minutes, we'll start the Divine Feminine. Why don't we take a mandatory bathroom break and a universal bathroom break? And we're just into this whole universal thing. Jackie, wait till you hear what we're cooking up. You're going to love it. Alrighty, we'll see you all in a few minutes. Feel free to keep chatting. I'm going to stop recording